Back in November, it was announced that Amazon had acquired the TV rights to The Lord of the Rings and were already planning a multi-season show set in the world of Middle-earth. While we still don't know much about the TV series, we do know that it will be exclusively available on Amazon Prime Video, Amazon's online streaming service, and that it will reportedly be the most expensive TV series ever created. We also know that Amazon is working with New Line Cinema, the company that brought us the Peter Jackson films, and that the series will take place before The Fellowship of the Ring. With all this in mind, let's look at what stories from Middle-earth the new TV show could follow. I'll start with what I think are the most likely plot lines, then explore more fantastic ideas as we go on. Number 1. The story of Aragorn. We don't know how long before the events of The Lord of the Rings the TV show will be set, but I believe it will most likely act as a bridge between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. With 60 years passing between the two trilogies, there's actually quite a lot of room for new stories. The most likely star of a show set in this time period is Aragorn. Aragorn grew up in Rivendell and was just 10 years old at the time of The Hobbit. I think seeing the young Aragorn inspired to seek adventure when Bilbo and company passed through would be a great opening for the show. Following Aragorn, we could start off with him as a child in Rivendell and see his life from then till we meet him in Lord of the Rings. During this time, Aragorn learns of his true heritage, falls in love with Arwen, trains with the Dunedain Rangers and the Elves of Rivendell, and eventually travels to both Rohan and Gondor in disguise. I would love to see Aragorn serving the King of Rohan and the Steward of Gondor, and meeting younger versions of both Theoden and Denethor, who Aragorn had a rivalry with. This story would most likely wrap up with Aragorn's help in the hunt for Gollum, which takes place during the Fellowship of the Ring, in between Bilbo's birthday party and the start of Frodo's quest, possibly even ending with Aragorn traveling to Bree in search of Frodo and his friends. I believe one actor could pull off the slowly aging ranger, and fans would be carried very nicely from the end of The Hobbit to the start of The Lord of the Rings, with plenty of opportunities for side stories and appearances from familiar characters like Legolas and Gandalf. Number 2. The Quest for Moria. Also taking place between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings is Balin's quest for Moria. After the Battle of Five Armies, Balin gathers a company of dwarves and sets out to reclaim another of their ancestral homes, the Mines of Moria. But once there, the dwarves find themselves caught in a desperate fight for survival in the deep halls beneath the Misty Mountains. The story is probably only long enough for a season at most, but would be action-packed and grim, and would feature some familiar faces from The Hobbit in Balin, Owen, and Ori. It also gets bonus points for tying directly into one of the best scenes in The Fellowship of the Ring. Number 3. The Fall of Arnor and the Rise of the Witch King. By the time of The Lord of the Rings, little is left of the great kingdom of Arnor. Aragorn's people, the Dunedain Rangers, are its last descendants, and the ruins of that kingdom can be seen in places like Weathertop. The story of how it fell and what became of its people is one of my favorites. It features the War of Arnor against the Witch King of Angmar, with plenty of opportunity for political drama as the men of the North break into different factions as the war rages on. It is also the only backstory we have for any of the Nazgul, and I would love to see the Witch King in his original power before it was revealed that he had been corrupted by Sauron and turned into a ringwraith. The main problem with this tale is that it takes place over many years, so I would imagine that the Amazon series would condense the timeline similarly to the way The Hobbit sped up the return of Sauron. I could literally go on all day about the many different settings Middle-earth has to offer. There are countless epic stories to be told, like the Gondorian Civil War, the War of the Last Alliance, the tale of Turin Turambar, and the lay of Beren and Luthien, just to name a very, very few. Any of these stories could be chosen as the setting for the new show, but wherever and whenever we do eventually find ourselves, I am filled with a kind of excitement that, outside of a few video games, I haven't felt since the Hobbit films were first announced back in 2011. The excitement of returning to Middle-earth in a brand new way. Well, everyone, that is my list, and whatever the story we end up seeing from Amazon, you can count on me to keep you all up to date. So my question for you is, what story do you think we will see, and why? Let me know in the comments below, and please, consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really, really helps me out. Farewell until next time, and may the stars shine upon your faces.